Our guest on tonight's edition of Amy's Ambitious Africa is no other but a veteran journalist, information officer of the Chamber of Commerce Industry, Mines and Crafts, the president of Commerce HD, I mean to say the Douala branch. No other but His Excellency, permit me call him so, Charles Ako. Good evening, Charles, and Happy New Year.
Yeah, thank you very much, and same to you. I'm flattered to be called Excellency tonight.
Anyway, they say give it to Caesar what belongs to Caesar, and to Amy what belongs to Amy. And right now, His Excellency belongs to Charles because he's done exceptional things for the journalism world. Now, as we move into 2011, I'd like to have an insight of what took place in 2010. Talking about 2010, I'd like to know from you how you can assess the socio-cultural achievements of Cameroon in 2010.
Well, 2010 has been quite interesting to Cameroon, especially when you saw Cameroon being sold at the World Cup in South Africa.
Yes.
You saw how traditional dances went in their numbers.
Yeah.
I mean, they portrayed how bicultural and multicultural Cameroon is. And if I were to come back home, I would say the Ngondo Festival in Douala is something that held me spellbound because it's something which is quite different from the Nere dance I have in the Northwest and especially in Batubo subdivision where I come from, because the Ngondo gave something extra from natural culture to integrating even foreign cultures. I think those are those two elements that hit me most. But then the connotation to it was also this cultural festival we had in Yaoundé with respect to the 50th anniversary of Cameroon, which would off my hat to everybody.
And it is noted that so many accidents were recorded in 2010. We're going to take an example of the Edeya Yaoundé Douala Highway where blood constantly was spilled on a particular zone, and people were wondering if it's natural or mystical. What do you have to say about that? And kind of a word to drivers who go on driving very recklessly.
Scientifically, we can't really say it's mystical because we don't have the data to back up that assertion. But then you must accept the fact that the roads linking Douala and Yaoundé are not up to international standards, and the government is aware that those roads are not too wide that will prevent such catastrophes from happening. That's why the government has engaged a program of widening the road. And so it's just not only the road problem, but then the recklessness of the drivers. I think that drivers who applied the roads for years, and they would have known how exactly the road looks like for them to be cautious. But then you still find all of these things happening. I think this is just some sort of recklessness on the part of the drivers, and of course the infrastructural build-up of the road that causes all of this. But you say it's mystical. I don't want to dive into that because we're not traditionalists, of course.
Africa, you can see why I gave him the title, His Excellency. Now, having talked socio-cultural achievements of Cameroon in the year 2010, you can see this is Douche Municipal in the heart of Douala, the economic capital of Cameroon. The people are ready to make a happy and glamorous movement into 2011. I'll call it a year of unusual happening, but fruitful achievements. Now, before we get into 2011, Charles, I'd like to know from you your assessment of the political and economic milieu of Cameroon in 2010.
I think politically Cameroon has grown in the sense that we are realizing that political protagonists are coming to meet and discuss. And if I'm talking about this, is the famous meeting in Bamenda between President Paul Biya and John Frundi. And if you are a keen political observer in Cameroon, you realize that this meeting has come to kind of soften the political situation in the country, where there is hope of maybe unison in thought and unison in action. And we hope that this encounter brings much to every Cameroonian who looked at it from a very critical eye.
Back in the studio, I'm so sure you guys are excited and you have your own views about how Cameroon has been ruled in 2010. Now we go economically. There's so many things that happened. Of course, the postponement on about 3 counts, postponement, I beg your pardon, on about 3 counts of the famous agro-pastoral show that was supposed to take place in Ebolova, and they're trying to fill the gap with the regional agro-pastoral shows and many other economic achievements. You know, we are going to know from you, what are those things that failed, which should be looked upon in 2011, and those things that were achieved in the economic domain that innovations should bring another upliftment in the face and in the year 2011.
I think picking the cue from the Ebolova Agri Show, I think there are just conditions that warrant the postponements, not that there is no political or economic will for that to happen. But then globally, if you're so keen, you realize that even the International Monetary Fund and the World Bank have given a positive score to Cameroon, because we are moving towards the year 2035 which we expect Cameroon to become an emerging economy. And when you see the liberalization of our economic setup, it gives the possibility for foreign companies to come in and invest. And the balance of trade, though not favorable to Cameroon now, it's promising because the GDP is also promising. And so the steps which have been put in place to free the investment sector, the renovation of the investment parameters, like the creation of the one-stop shop, the relooking of the investment charter, all of this have given Cameroon the push in 2010. And with what we have in stock, that's why you see the budget for 2011 is increased. Yes. It's because those ambitious programs are there for the development of infrastructure. You heard the ring road in the northwest, yes. You heard the roads in Ambam in the south, you heard the roads far north, because once there is road infrastructure, development follows. I think in 2011 we are going to see something much more beautiful than we had in 2010.
And we are being informed that 64 billion francs we go health, we might come back economic, because I know there are some strategic issues that you've not yet touched, and I'd like you to touch, because somehow it's going to bring development in Cameroon, not only at the level of giving employment to the people out there who do not have job opportunities, but it's also going to open up the agro-industrial sector of Cameroon. We talk health. 64 billion has been received by the Cameroon Public Health Industry. Health Ministry, I beg your pardon, from the International Monetary Fund to crack down pandemics like HIV/AIDS, malaria and tuberculosis. But I've not heard cholera anyway, Charles, and we know what cholera did in 2010 to many Cameroonians. As a matter of fact, almost 600 people died of cholera, and we know that water source is still a problem in our nation.
No, you're right. I think the accent has not been put on cholera because cholera came in as an intervening factor. It wasn't planned like HIV/AIDS, which has been a problem over the decades. And so HIV/AIDS has given the possibility for government to plan way ahead. But cholera came in as an intervening factor, like I did say. But then the parameters that have been put in place are so encouraging. First of all, you know, cholera is more deadly than some of those diseases that we think are deadly, even malaria. And so this fabulous sum of money that has been put in by government is an indication that Cameroon is it's responding to the Millennium Development Goals, part of which is to provide health for everyone by 2015. And we know that it wouldn't be a miracle one to obtain that. But I think by the close of 2015, where we are targeting, because we are setting off from now, we're certainly going to maybe obtain some 70% in that. So I think the government program on health is not too bad. But I would rather prefer that it be inclusive, where everybody will share from the booty, not just pronouncing and then allowing the figures to fly in the air. Next year we come out with the same problems.
Like the case of the fictitious projects that are being talked of in the health industry all the time. Right now, briefly, I'd like to know from you, as information officer of the Chamber of Commerce, Industry, Mines and Craft, what the approach is to fight against unemployment and kind of develop the agro-industrial sector. I know that the Incubation Pilot Center was inaugurated on the 22nd of October 2010 at Bonne Annee, and you got lots and lots of projects for Cameroon.
Yeah, I'm glad you came back to that project, because it's an innovation in the history of the Chamber of Commerce, because we've never had this kind of initiative where we create an arena for people to get jobs. Because our mission, first of all, is to advise the economic sector to be more competitive. But now we are getting into production. That's why you see us creating the incubation center, not only to create jobs, but to create your ones to go out there and create jobs. And we have this project that is continuing. In Obala, we're setting up a factory, we're getting to Sang Melima, and very soon we're getting around the country. And so you see, the Chamber of Commerce has gone even far beyond its mission. That of only advising to that of creating employment and creating the possibility of recreating employment. And so that's why this year we are really looking and redefining our strategy in trade promotion, that is trade fairs, organizing trade fairs here and there. And I would like to give you the scoop that we are going to organize continual trade fairs around the country. There's the Bafoussam Trade Fair, there's the Bamenda International Trade Fair, there's the Limbe Coastal Trade Fair. There is another trade fair we're going to organize in the first semester of 2012 between business persons in Cameroon and business persons in Turkey. That's an innovation by the Chamber of Commerce. And you know, when we get that out there and tap the know-how from foreign partners, we regenerate that into our economy, and we find out we're certainly going to be competitive. I think there's hope with the Chamber of Commerce coming up.
And you know, Africa, besides being information officer at the Chamber of Commerce, Industry, Mines and Crafts, our guest is the president of AMY.BONNE, the Association of English-Speaking Journalists in Cameroon, Douala branch. Now we want to know from you, what are some of the achievements AMY.BONNE made in 2010, Charles?
Very fabulous achievements. AMY.BONNE is the only branch amongst branches of the Cameroon Association of English-Speaking Journalists that has respected its decision to hold monthly meetings. Even at times Douala is busy. At times we move the meetings maybe to a month and a half or two. But we have a respected calendar where we have talks to imbibe into the journalists what they need to give and what they need to take from the public. And so we've had seminars on how journalists could use their skills to develop. We've had seminars on how journalists could use their skills to create. And we're creating partnerships with foreign organizations, which I may not let the cat out of the bag because we're in a competitive world, to try to see how we can extend AMY.BONNE out of Douala.
Wow, that's interesting.
And we're thinking about granting scholarships to some of our colleagues who might have joined us without having the prerequisites or the rudiments of journalism to go and get them. Last year, in conjunction with the national branch, unfortunately, we didn't have a member who went to Nigeria. But I think the fact that we received them in Douala here en route to their various destinations from Nigeria showed the association that we are not just any group, but a group to reckon with. I think in 2011, we are going to exhaust our calendar, our plan of action. That is, give an impetus to the group, give it a booster, make it a way that each person who identifies with AMY.BONNE meets the rudiments of communication, such that we know it be embarrassed whenever you find yourself. That is our goal. But then we work with respect to the canons of the profession. Equity, respect for the news, balance, immediacy, and no bias. That is our goal here.
What's the program we're going to give to our colleagues who are not yet members of AMY.BONNE?
They just register, but you must be a practicing journalist. But then we are so fair and lenient to those who might not have had formal training, but are practicing to come and join. Because we know that while you are there, with the skills we have a lot of trained journalists. They can now impart the skills onto those who are practicing, but without having training to get the crux of the profession. That's going to happen.
Thank you, Charles, for your time.
Thank you very much, and I wish everybody a happy New Year 2011.
Thank you so much. Quite interesting talk, Africa, but we got limited time. So we're going to get deep greetings from Charles Ako to his family as we move magically into 2011, hoping that we're going to have bright future and achieve many more projects. Charles, you certainly want to say Happy New Year to your wife and kids.
I'm wishing my wife, Kanka Rachel, and my daughter, Robin, Michelle, Tracy, a happy New Year. I know they're all beautiful, intelligent girls in school. And I'm also wishing well to my parents back at home, my family. And of course to the AMY.BONNE family here in Douala. And I would like to tell the Anglophone journalists under whose umbrella I hold, to be very cautious that we're entering a new year and we should think how we're going to make the organization move forward. We're bent on doing that.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. Bada boom! It's 2011 and we are celebrating Happy New Year to you all in the studio. Happy New Year to you, Director of Programs, Justin Blaise Bolingo. Of course, to you, Dinah Lee. And we hope that you continue to do the great things that you are doing for your employees and the music industry and, of course, Africa as a whole. I am AMY.BONNE Annee reporting live from the Douche Municipal economic capital of Douala. Happy New Year and stay glued to programs on LTM television for more, and the best is yet to come.